This is LiDAR, a custom game mode for Garry's mod. You spawn in a dark void with only one tool to guide you. See, LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, and the tool you're equipped with emits light that sticks to walls and the ground, helping you see your environment. However, the map I'm in isn't one created for the mod. In fact, there's no special maps created for the mod. This is GM Construct. Here I am in GM Big City, GM Flatgrass. This mod takes the normally fun sandbox arenas of Garry's mod and distorts them, making them uncanny and eerie. It's easy to feel unnerved when exploring maps in LiDAR. There's a feeling of being lost in the dark and being alone, with only the dark ambience of the void and the sounds of the LiDAR tool to comfort you. It's really easy to get the feeling that you're not alone, because you're not. To the uninitiated, Garry's mod is a sandbox mod of Half-Life that has taken its own form over time. Many iconic mods and videos have been made over the years, whether that be Team Fabulous 2, the Gmod Idiot Box, or 10,000 saves of children playing with FNAF ragdolls. But, while Gmod being a sandbox lends itself to creating goofy and silly creations, it's also capable of doing the exact opposite. Purple gay! There's always been a horror angle to the Gmod fandom. I remember back in the day, people would spread rumors that certain Gmod maps were haunted by their deceased creators. And we've also seen the rise of horror-themed Gmod ARGs. I used LiDAR as an example in the beginning because I think it really shows off the creative potential for horror-themed Gmod content. So today, we'll be going over 3 different spooky mysteries from Gmod history. But before we dive in, do you want to know something that's not spooky? Tanks. You don't have to worry about any spooky ARG ghosts haunting you when you're in one of these bad boys. So, it's a good thing that today's video is sponsored by World of Tanks. World of Tanks is an awesome video game where you get to play as a giant tank. And the best part is that it's absolutely free. That's like, let me count. $0. Think of how much effort it is to drive a tank in real life. First, you gotta join the military, learn how to control the dang thing for months. World of Tanks lets you jump straight into the action with over 800 tanks and 40 maps to play with, ensuring that you'll never get bored. I mean, that's like 20 gazillion possible different matches. Sorry, I was never really good at math. Blast your way through the desert, cities, picturesque green fields. There's so many environments to blow up in your giant tank. Not to mention the sheer variety of tanks, upgrades, and cool customization options at your disposal allows you to have a lot of creative expression while playing the game in a way that suits you. The combat is also extremely in-depth, and learning where to safely position yourself, how to play with your team, and how to most effectively deal damage with your shots is incredibly fun and rewarding to learn. And something awesome about the tanks is that these aren't made-up models. These tanks are authentic recreations of historical models, which immerses you in the experience. Imagine that the tank is a paint canvas, but instead of a paint canvas, it's a giant metal behemoth that shoots explosive shells. Now that sounds awesome. So, if any of this sounds awesome to you, which it should, I urge you to click the link in the description and use code COMBAT for some awesome bonuses. You get access to the Cromwell B, 250,000 credits, 7 days of premium access, and 3 rental tanks for 10 battles. World of Tanks is also partnered with Madrina's Coffee. If you're in the mood for a good brew, check out the second link in the description. You can peruse the standalone coffee or take a gander at the limited edition collector's box with M4 Sherman coffee and a whole bunch of other goodies. Go have a jolly old time on the battlefield decimating your foes, and tell them the what sent ya. Thank you World of Tanks for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the mysteries. In 2015, YouTube user Chim Richards would upload a video called Creepy Gmod Tower Lobby 2 Easter Egg. Gmod Tower was a really popular Gmod server that ran from 2009 to 2016, during the peak of Gmod community servers. But it was shut down in 2016 after being replaced by its spiritual successor, Tower Unite. The server consisted of various mini-games, all connected by a lobby hub world. The entire server was just for funsies. You could be Steve Minecraft playing Super Monkey Ball, or go-karting as Master Chief. However, what Chim Richards discovered was incredibly eerie and unsettling compared to the fun tone of the rest of the server. In the video, Chim was in the Lobby 2 map. He heads to the theater area of the hub world and stops in this corner. Using in-game potion items, Chim is able to glitch through the wall. On the other side is this board. Chim approaches the board and interacts with it, which causes this to happen. According to the description, the recording ends here because the game supposedly crashed. So, what did we just watch? How can you go from Steve Minecraft go-karting to strolling along in the demon dimension? By interacting with the board, Chim is taken to the level changing screen, which means everything that happens after he interacts with the board is on a completely different map. The first part of this mysterious map is a long dark hallway with a red carpet. After reaching the end of the hallway, this image of a distorted face appears on screen with what appears to be another area of the map. After this, the player is taken to a separate room. It looks like an apartment with a sofa covered in blood. The player turns around and heads up a flight of stairs. In this area, he briefly pauses by an area that looks very similar to the distorted face screen. Heading into what seems like a dark closet, he notices a vibrant red light. And in this red light is what appears to be a distorted hanging body. And the game crashes before we can see what's casting the shadow. This disturbing map is so out of place in comparison to the rest of Gmod Tower, it immediately leads one to believe that the whole video is some sort of elaborate hoax, like a vintage Bigfoot and GTA video. However, certain aspects of the video do lend credibility to it. For one, this video was taken in the actual Gmod Tower server. And on top of that, screenshots from players show that the board that leads to the other creepy map actually existed in the Gmod Tower for a time. Since the board was actually real, there's a chance that this video isn't a hoax. So, is the creepy Easter egg real? Well, yes. And no, the truth is a bit complicated. Let's rewind the clock a bit. A few months before the release of the creepy Easter egg video, Pixeltail, the group of developers behind Gmod Tower, uploaded a video to their YouTube channel called The Streamer, an interactive horror movie. The description reads, "The Streamer is an interactive-based short movie that will be played live in Gmod Tower. In this short movie, event players will be able to make decisions throughout the duration of the film via the game's voting and chat system to uncover the dark secrets and twisted fate of the feature's protagonist, Max. Players will be asked various questions during the movie and will be presented with riddles and puzzles to unlock various clips and unseen footage, meaning the community must piece together the storyline themselves." In the trailer, there's a lot of glaring similarities to the creepy Easter egg video. You can see the same carpeted room and apartment setting, and you can even see the hanging body from the Easter egg video. It's 100% confirmed that the creepy Easter egg video was a promotion for an ARG that was to take place inside the Gmod Tower server. So, was this creepy Easter egg actually in the game, or was Chim Richards in on it the whole time? Looking at Chim's channel, he's only uploaded 3 videos, and every upload is themed around horror and ARG type content. Their most recent video is extremely similar to the Easter egg video, with Chim walking around a home in a spooky video game setting. It's extremely likely that Chim was in on it the whole time, and this YouTube channel is either owned by a Pixeltail developer or someone close to them. The video itself is most likely a hoax, and despite the board actually existing within the Gmod Tower, interacting with it likely never did anything at all. And as far as the streamer ARG goes, I'm afraid it's kind of got a sad ending. 10 months after the release of the creepy Easter egg video, Masaki, a Pixeltail developer and creator of the ARG, would post on the Pixeltail forums to announce the cancellation of the ARG. Due to a lack of ambition and time, the streamer would be scrapped and would never see the light of day. The interactive movie would have revolved around a character named Max, a Twitch streamer who gets brainwashed by a corrupted Gmod server into committing murders, before being killed by a mysterious entity himself. Today, all that remains of the long-lost ARG is the streamer trailer, which has since been unlisted, and the creepy Easter egg video. Today, pretty much everyone has forgotten about this streamer, but the creepy Easter egg video has its own legacy as a very convincing and creepy hoax video. The kind that you just don't really get much anymore. It's really a shame that the ARG never got to see the light of day, but at the very least, this little small nugget lives on. In April of 2014, a bizarre infection spread around the servers of Garry's mod. A literal sickness jumping from player to player, server to server. An infection known as the Gmod cough virus. During the time where the virus was active, all it took to catch it was just joining a server infected by it. Thankfully, the symptoms of this sickness weren't too drastic. All it would do was give the user a cough. Once infected, the player would repeatedly type the word cough into chat, and the virus would even send the cough message to friends on Steam. Entire servers would be filled with the coughs of infected Gmod players. And the virus would also crash your game, encouraging the player to join another server. And with the new infected player in the server, that server would also be infected with the cough virus. And it would continue the spread. Thankfully, shortly after the virus was discovered, it was removed from the game and everyone recovered from their cough. Today, people believe that this virus was created as a warning to Garry and Valve that there was a hole in their security that could allow for someone to seriously mess with a player's computer. Today, the virus creator is hailed as a kind of anti-hero. But imagine if the person behind the cough virus was more malicious, and instead of trying to warn about a hole in the security, actively exploited it for their own amusement. Unfortunately for Gmod, this cough virus wasn't the first or last time this kind of thing would happen. Let's rewind back to the late 2000s and early YouTube. Back in this time, YouTube was a wild new frontier and was nowhere near as sanitized as it is today. For better, or for worse. In the lawless wasteland that was early YouTube, there was a whole genre of videos called screamers. They reel you in with an interesting premise and boom! Spooky face and loud scream. One of my favorites that scared the shit out of me was a Herobrine screamer called Him. And looking back, I feel a sense of abject shame for ever finding this even remotely scary. I got a little off track there, but I promise this is relevant. See, way before the cough virus outbreak of 2014, there was another virus that spread its way around the Gmod community. And that virus was the Gman Virus. It started its spread in 2009. If you downloaded the wrong add-on for Gmod, or logged into the wrong server, you could have unknowingly downloaded the virus. What the virus would do after infecting your computer is, the next time you load into a server, you would be jump scared by this stretched texture of the Gman's face, followed by a loud screaming sound. According to those affected by the virus, trying to leave the game would bring up a message saying, ha 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 ha, no. And trying to use Alt F4 to escape Garry's mod would bring up the message saying, you're in the pits of hell now. After this happened, supposedly, the virus would bring you to your desktop and open a bunch of tabs of a shock site while locking your cursor in the top left corner of the screen, forcing you to watch. Many of the reports I've read on this virus are dated 2009, but I've read accounts of the Gman virus as recently as 2014, where it looks like the Gman virus was finally eradicated for good. However, the strange thing about this case is that unlike the cough virus, which was thoroughly documented, little to no evidence actually exists of the Gman virus, despite wreaking havoc on Gmod for supposedly half a decade. The videos you find on YouTube of the Gman Screamer are all recreations, and most of the forums related to the Screamer have been lost to the sands of time, with only a few snippets of threads left archived by the Wayback Machine. So, was the Gman virus even real, or was it some sort of hoax, or maybe even a case of the Mandela effect, with people misremembering being affected by the virus? Well, despite the evidence being sparse, I feel like there's just enough evidence that points toward the Gman virus most likely existing at some point. The existence of the cough virus is proof enough that a virus like this is capable of existing. Even though most of it has been lost, there's too much discourse surrounding the virus for me to write it off as a complete hoax. And, strangely enough, I was able to find one piece of video evidence that is most likely the Gman virus, and it comes from a very unexpected place. Kitty0706 is a sadly deceased but beloved Garry's Mod animator. They've animated plenty of beloved Gmod videos such as Moments with Heavy and Team Fabulous 2, and Kitty has a hell of a legacy. But There's one video on his channel that pertains to the mystery. In one of Garry's mod videos called The Random Tales of Gman, Random to Find, there's a clip where a rebel character is playing Garry's mod, and this happens. This clip is insanely interesting. The gameplay in this short clip does not look forged at all. This isn't a recreation, it looks like an actual occurrence of a Gman jump scare. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you can even see the tip of a Steam notification for a chat message. And the way the face texture flickers in and out really looks like it was done in the source engine. The video was even uploaded in 2009, right around the time when the Gman Virus was at its peak. It seems for this joke about the Gman jump scare, Kitty found a random clip of it happening, or even had a clip of it happening to themselves, and used it as footage in their machinima, instead of recreating a clip of it. To this day, this clip seems to be the only surviving footage of the Gman Screamer virus. In the forum threads that are still archived, it seems most people believe that a Gmod user named Crisaster was responsible for the virus. It appears he was a notorious hacker who regularly pulled stunts like this. Supposedly, while infected with the Gman virus, you'd even be connected to a chat room called Nimped by Crisaster, with the word Nimped being a reference to the shock site the virus would force you to see. However, this Crisaster fellow seems to be shrouded in just as much mystery as the Gman virus itself. So, what do you think? Was the Gman virus real, or was it a hoax or misinformation being spread on forums? I don't think we'll ever have a concrete answer, there's just too many holes left unfilled. Oh, and speaking of holes, even if the Gman virus potentially never existed, it certainly left its impact. Just 1 year ago, the Gmod workshop suffered a brutal attack. It seemed that even after all this time has passed, even a decade after the Gman virus, people have still not learned their lesson. A Gmod workshop creator who was responsible for many beloved mods like Glue Library, View Extension, Ambient Occlusion, and Action Extension snapped and went rogue one day. One day, he updated his mods so that instead of being functional, when the player booted into the game, they would be met with a screamer of the one and only Goatsy. And since I'd lose any chance of being in YouTube's good graces if I just straight up told you what it was, I'm just gonna have to get creative using the power of metaphor. Okay, so imagine you're making a donut, but you accidentally made the hole in the donut too small. So you have to stretch out the hole with your hands. Okay, now imagine the donut is a man's anus. The thing is with Glue Library, it wasn't just any old mod. It was a mod base that you needed to subscribe to in order to make other mods work. So this innocuous little mod caused thousands of people to get jump scared by someone's donut hole. Needless to say, it didn't take very long for the mods to be removed and for the creator to be permanently banned off of Steam forever. So, even if the Gman virus will remain a mystery, its, legacy sure has carried into the modern age. And for our final mystery, I've saved perhaps the most cryptic for last. So once more, we're gonna have to journey back to the early days of YouTube. In 2011, a YouTube channel called FoundontheTape was briefly active on YouTube. They posted only a few videos, all under a minute each, with each upload being more cryptic than the last. The first upload on the channel was titled clip94.mp4. The video starts with a choppy clip of what appears to be a woman's legs. It then cuts to somebody inserting a tape into a tape machine before cutting back to a clip of a group of women in an elevator. Then, this happens. So throughout the video, we see what appears to be a guy videotaping people, presumably without their knowledge, and what looks to be a bloodied corpse with blackened eyes on a stairway. This video raises a lot of questions, but before I get too ahead of myself, let's move on to the next video. It's only 35 seconds, so I'll just play it in full and then break it down after. This clip continues the trend of videotaping seemingly random people, specifically this guy right here, and there's a whole bunch of oddities as well. Let's address the freaky, weird, armless elephant in the room. What the fuck is that thing? This short clip of what seems to be a woman with no arms, short stubby legs, and blacked out facial features draws parallels to the previous video stairway corpse. For a brief moment, you can catch a close-up view of this creature's face, and the two really do look similar. There's also a brief moment where you can see what I'm assuming is the same creature bathed in light stumbling forward. And during the clip where you can see outside of the host's window, I believe that you can see this creature stumbling in the woods outside. During this clip, a code flashes on screen, and it's a good thing this all happened years ago because I am not smart enough to decrypt something like this. Thankfully, people much smarter than me were able to decrypt the code, and it leads to the next step in the puzzle. This is a hexadecimal code, and when decrypted, it takes you to a mega upload link, and after downloading it, it turns out it's a Half-Life 2 map. However, it's still playable in Gmod, which is what I've done for the video. The map is incredibly small, just one room. Also, ignore me in the corner, I'm just playing as the condom head guy from Counter-Strike. The map also locks your POV into this corner of the room, and it also plays the sound of a shepherd's tone. To the music nuts in the audience, I can bet you already know what that is, but to the uninitiated, a shepherd's tone is a set of notes that when played in a loop, give the illusion that it is constantly descending downward. If you've ever played Mario 64, think of the infinite staircase. Moving around, I was able to break free from the camera lock and examine the room more closely. This place almost seems like a makeshift cell. Trash litters the room, there's a mattress, and in the corner of the room, a skeleton. Someone died here, and it's been a while since they have. In the Found on the Tape videos, the camera person goes around filming random people. Perhaps these tapes are from some sort of kidnapper or killer, and this cell is some sort of digital recreation of where they keep their victims. There's a chance that random guy from tape 2 didn't make it. But that's not all to the map. By leaving the room through the door, you'll get jump scared by the stairway corpse. Look, it was a product of its time, okay? Cheap jump scares were all the rage back then. We already established this. After the discovery of the first map, the Found on the Tape YouTube channel made a post that contained another hexadecimal code that, when deciphered, led to an email address. By emailing the address, you'd receive a response that was the phrase, "I'm stuck," typed repeatedly, and a link to the next map. In this map, you wander through a series of claustrophobic vents. In this maze-like structure, if you take a wrong turn or wander down the wrong pathway, this happens. You're not alone here. This monster will chase you down as you work your way through the maze, and if they catch you, your game will crash. The only way out is by traveling down the right pathway and finding this deep hole. After falling to your death, the screen will turn white, and a serene ambience will begin to play. After the discovery of the second map, the third and final video on the Found the Tape YouTube channel was uploaded. Here is that video. This video has quite a few interesting things to note. The first is that in the final few frames of the video, you can see another one of those armless creatures standing at the end of a tunnel. The second is that we see even more references to tunnels in the underground. There's multiple shots of someone traversing an area that looks awfully similar to the Half-Life maps we've been playing. And a map for something called the Earth Tunnel System briefly shows up on screen during the video. Perhaps this is the place where the ARG and maps take place, some sort of underground tunnel system. But why? We don't get an immediate answer to our question, but there's a clue. During the portion of the video where it looks like this rocket-type structure is leaking blood, in the corner of the screen, there's a strange triangle code. To this day, not a single person has been able to crack this code. That's not where the journey ends, however, as a few people who emailed the Found on the Tape email received a new email back, this time with another link to a new Half-Life map. In this map, you find yourself in the same tunnel system that resembles the areas from the third tape even more. After exploring the tunnels for a while, you eventually come to a room that looks very similar to the first map, complete with obligatory trash piles and cozy bedbug-ridden mattress. Living through this door doesn't give you a 2010s era jump scare though. You can leave the room and find yourself in another tunnel that ends in a deep pit. With no other option, you jump in. This has been the second time in this series of maps where the only escape has been through falling to your death. Time and time again, these maps have reminded us that escaping these tunnels is impossible. The only way out is with the end of your life. So what even is this place? The only semblance of an answer we'd ever get is with the final Half-Life map, this time posted in a YouTube post in the form of binary code. This is the biggest map yet, a giant winding maze of tunnels filled with trash and plenty of dead corpses. You'll even find a familiar face. Hello, Mr. Umbrella Man. Eventually, you'll come to an incline with blood and bodies scattered everywhere, like it's some sort of feeding den. Eventually, you'll fall down into one last drop down, and a chase sequence will begin. As you run through the tunnels, you'll see a brightly illuminated passage with a ladder. This could finally be the escape from these tunnels. But, before you can make it, the creature will catch up to you and crash your game. There's no escaping the tunnel system. So, what exactly was chasing you in the dark? This fugly thing. A humanoid creature devoid of arms with blackened facial features. This is the same type of creature that has been in every single tape. But what are these creatures? What are these tunnels? Who was behind the recordings? What does this all mean? Even though it's been 12 years since the final upload, we're still no closer to finding out the truth. The mystery has never been solved. Well, that sure was an ominous note to end the video on, but allow me to get back to doing what Garry's mod was actually built for, making FNAF characters perform ungodly acts with each other's bodies. See, now this is fun. Remember to play World of Tanks, it's pretty swag. Okay, bye!
Oh.